Hey, welcome in to our Fireside Chat, our first one past the pre-comps. And tonight's topic is the consequences of the Mexican-American War. Yeah, this is a big one. This is a big Fireside Chat for everybody here because what happened as a result of the Mexican-American War really sets in motion events and issues that are going to trigger the Civil War. So buckle up. This is a big one here for us. And I can tell you that back in 2014, this was one of the APUSH essays about the Mexican-American War and its consequences. So, as we talked about in class, the war was incredibly unpopular for some people, and even the soldiers who fought in the war saw its brutality. But really, it's the aftermath of the war that has the greatest impact on American history. Once the United States defeated the Mexican government, the United States negotiated with Mexico a treaty known as the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. Guadalupe-Hidalgo. This treaty is sometimes also referred to as the Mexican Cession, C-E-S-S-I-O-N. The Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo, or the Mexican Cession. The importance of the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo, or the Mexican Cession, is that the United States is going to receive a ton, and I mean a ton, of new land, including 5 new territories that will eventually become states: California, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. And yes, the glow of the, there you go, there's the 5. You couldn't really quite see my fingers with the glow. 5 future states are going to be brought into the United States as a result of the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo, or the Mexican Cession. The volume of territory gained here rivals one of the greatest land grabs in American history, with one exception, and that's the Louisiana Purchase. That's the only other time in American history where more land was taken in by the American government. Mexico forfeited so much land, and thousands of acres, and one of the real interesting parts of the treaty was the arrangement between the U.S. government and the Mexican government, in which the United States had to guarantee that any Mexicans living in the new territory were awarded American citizenship, which most chose to stay. They want to leave their homes, and that led to many Mexicans becoming assimilated into American culture over a long period of time. Now, certainly for us here in the Phoenix area, the Mexican Cession, the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo, is really the origin of Arizona becoming an American territory. It's when that shift occurred between Arizona becoming an American territory rather than a Mexican territory. But not all of Arizona was included in the Mexican Cession. Tucson, the southern part of Arizona, down near Tucson, would later be purchased by the United States from Mexico in what was known as the Gadsden Purchase, G-A-D-S-E-N-D, the Gadsden Purchase. That's when Tucson and southern Arizona came into the United States. Together, the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo and the Gadsden Purchase account for now the entire modern-day continental United States' boundaries. With these 2 treaties, and with the victory in the Mexican-American War, the United States looks exactly as it does today, with 2 exceptions: Hawaii and Alaska. Those come in later. So how we look today, our continental United States, with 48 states, is really cemented here in the Mexican-American War. That's a crucial point just to be aware of. And obviously with some local history, it also indicates how our territory, where we live, came into possession of the United States. The real burning question, though, here is going to be about slavery. And that's always the connection between the Mexican-American War and the Civil War. You know, the question that my APUSH students years ago had to answer about how the Mexican-American War contributed to the Civil War comes down to the fact, with all this new land and all these manifest destiny folk celebrating all this new acquisition of land, well, the question of slavery is going to immediately be introduced. And the question is going to be, will slavery spread into these new territories? Now, you should be well familiar already with the answer to that question. And this is where we start to see the weaknesses of the Missouri Compromise now coming into the threshold of the United States. Missouri Compromise said, okay, anything below the line is slavery, anything above the line is free. Now, and that applied to territories acquired by Mexico, including New Mexico and Arizona. But what about California? What about California? where we had the Lone Star Republic. I'm sorry, the Bear Flag Republic. My bad. California, Bear Flag, Texas, Lone Star. What about California? You know, California was interesting because based on the geography of California, some of it was below the line, others were above the line. So what to do in California? That was already a crisis. That was already a debate in Congress over the Missouri Compromise. And, again, consider the majority of the land above the Missouri Compromise remained free. So Southerners and slave states did not seem to think that the Missouri Compromise was really getting the job done. California, however, is going to really be the center of the controversy because the new president, the new Whig president who was elected in 1848, Zachary Taylor, the hero of the War of 1812, Mexican-American War, one of the heroes, Zachary Taylor wanted to push for California to become a free state. Taylor was a Whig. A lot of Whigs were against slavery. Taylor wanted California to be a free state. While the Southerners were arguing, well, some of California is below the Missouri Compromise line. So here we have a debate over sectionalism raging because of the Mexican-American War. And that is the big ticket answer to the question of how the Mexican-American War really does contribute to the Civil War. Tensions are going to mount. They're going to rise. All this new territory is going to heat up the debate over sectionalism and the spread of slavery into new territories. People like the Whigs thought that, okay, we just got to stick by the Missouri Compromise plan and just assume everything north is good and that's free and anything south is slavery. But the southern states didn't like that because they were losing ground to the northern states and the free states. One of the more curiously interesting dilemmas that comes about as a result of this new sectionalism crisis with the Mexican-American War is going to be the creation of the Free Soil Party. This is actually a very important political party that rose to national prominence because of the Mexican-American War. And the Free Soilers, as they were called, the Free Soil Party, their entire platform, their entire agenda was simple. They argued that any new territory acquired by the United States should be free, no slavery, regardless of the Missouri Compromise. The addition of the Free Soilers is important because in the future elections, there are going to be free soil candidates that run for president. And so the fact that we have a small party that gets somebody into the presidential election is always an important development. And when I show you the election results tomorrow in class, you'll be very surprised to see who the very first free soil candidate was for president. And it's a familiar name that we know. And we'll take a look. I'll kind of hold that off for tomorrow. So where are we going with this all tomorrow? Well, I'll show you some maps. I don't have the time to edit the video today with the basketball game tonight. So I'm just going to get this up here on YouTube as quickly as possible. I'll show you some maps, and we'll take a look at all the territory and all the different new territories that came in as a result of the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo and the Mexican Cession. Plus, we're going to go and focus on California. And very quickly, the issue that's going to come in about California that I mentioned is going to have to do with something that happened in California in 1849. Hint, hint, 1849. So that's our focal point for tomorrow. Keeping this one brief. Again, this war contributes to a whole lot of buildup of tension in sectionalism and between North and South, free and slave. And that's really the key to unlocking the importance of the Mexican-American War for our class. So, as always, everybody, I hope you guys have a great evening. Remember, the past shapes the future. Have a good night, everyone.